Hi, Paul and Clark from Deduca here, and I'm back in the Let's Play, and I'm going to jump ahead to something I wasn't going to show for a while, and that is how to raise some cash. Now, as you can see here, I've currently got $233,000, which isn't a great deal. We've seen how much will go. Just making a little area like this will eat into your cash reserves. And you'll be tempted to have a look at the market, stock market, and the property market. So if you click on the market button, you've got the stock market here. You've got 6 different sectors: fishery and forestry, construction and real estate, manufacturing, news and communication, retail, and service sector. At any one time, they can all be a little bit up and down. If you click on the economy graph here, it will show the overall state of the economy. And that's currently the economy is in, if it's red, it means it's probably in recession, or that's how we'd equate it in game time. So it's not a good time to be buying or selling anything, because and this just applies to the map here. It's in recession. That's how we took it over, and that's what we sort of expected. However, recession is also a great time to invest, because things aren't going to get much cheaper than they are in a recession. It's one of those sort of double-edged swords. Now, we've got various ways. I'll sort my W's and my R's out. Ways of raising cash. One is to go to the bank, and we can get out loans and pick a time when the interest rate is low and get out a really sizable loan. Now, you can get out a loan of up to $1 billion, which is a lot. It's sort of getting on for 5 times more than I've got currently, and we can get that rate at about 2.6%. Which is quite a lot. So we need to cover that. We could also sell any real estate we've already got. So whatever we've got here, we could sell. We may be selling it at a loss. One tactic you could use is to buy real estate and then sell it quite quickly, and then hope that the AI doesn't demolish it and use the land for something else quite quickly, which it may sometimes do, in which case you've just sort of wasted your time. Because the AI in V3 is quite a bit more aggressive, particularly with the economic things it can do, than it is in the vanilla A-Train 9. And the place it's most aggressive, or you need to be a lot smarter, is this, which I was going to show you today, which is the stock market. Now, this is where a couple of factors come into play. First of all, things in early game change over a long period of time. You've got conflicting interests. For a start, you want to start building and making and spreading yourself around and affecting the whole map, particularly on a map like this when there's little outposts all over the place. So you want to start making a difference, but you risk spreading your finances too thin. But also, things only change over time. When you make a big investment in a capital investment in, say, like this, 3 stations, 4 tracks, a few trains, 4 trains, you're going to need some time to recover, to build your capital back up sometimes, and that's where the stock market comes in. Underneath each share in here, once you're in, you can use the up and down key, cursor keys to move. You can see down in this area, share price movement over time, where that particular share is. Now, what I'd say is, if you look, it's gradiated over here on the right. You've got the base level, and then first, second, third, fourth. I would never buy anything that was above that first gradation there. The one you see there, you've got the large one, which is like the baseline, and the first gradation. And there's nothing in there that will do. I'll click through these. That one's close look. That's just above it, but again, I still wouldn't buy it. There's a few more that are close. Nope. Manufacturing, anything there. A few low ones, but again, nothing. Oh, what was that? That's very close. That Nico Optics is very close. News and communication was down there. Is that one? No. Some very close ones, and I may have to buy one outside of my normal scale just to sort of give you an idea of how this works. Okay, now in service sector, there's a few lowish, but there's nothing amazing. Okay, we found a couple of like this Continent Hotel one that are just a little bit above my ideal. I like my ideal sort of low level. I like to get them below there, but that's not far off. Unless we can find something else, we'll pick Continent Hotel. Right, now you can then go to. I'll just check that. I haven't been up there, have I? No. You can then go to the trading name of your choice and click buy shares, which case, you'll buy a certain number of shares at a time, depending on the price. So this will tell you that there's 10,000. If you're going to buy these shares here, which is, what is that? Is that a million? Million shares are going to cost you $7 million. So you can see, if you bought you can buy a maximum, I think, of 100 or 10 million. Is it 1, 2, 3? I count to zero. It's 10 million, which is going to cost you $77 million. Now you can buy all those at once. You can buy them a little bit at a time. What I would say is, when you're buying, sometimes you're better to buy in bulk in one go. When you're selling, sell a little bit at a time. Now the reason for that is that the share prices are affected by your actions. And if you take a very strong action, you'll make a very strong effect on the share prices. Now if I start buying 20, 30,000 of these, or 2 or 3 lots of them out of the 10 I can buy, the share price will start to rise, as it probably would if this was a real life share, because it's rising in response to somebody buying lots of them, which would give people outside the market more confidence in that market to buy themselves. They say, oh look, somebody's buying a load of these. Somebody perhaps with a bit of inside knowledge, or a new investor or whatever, is buying these shares, and it will make the company more valuable. So when you come to buy more, they will actually be more expensive. The corollary is true when it comes to selling. If you start to sell and you sell all in one go, there is a delay between you putting the selling order on and the sale being made, and that delay can be up to 4 or 5 days in actual game time. Now, if you put a selling order on, you get the price at the point that they're actually sold, because as in real life, you have to find a buyer. You don't just sell them to an empty pit. There isn't just a buyer waiting there to take the shares off your hand. Thank you very much. That you have to actually find somebody who wants to buy those shares off you. And if you're selling all of your shares, and you've got your broker going around the market saying, this massive investor wants to sell all his shares, that's going to have the opposite effect. People say, oh my goodness, there's something the matter with that. A major investor is ditching the shares, and the value will plummet. And between you placing your sale order and the shares actually being sold, they can lose 70-80% of their value, I've had in the past. The way to get around that, or to mitigate that a little bit, is to only sell them very slowly. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to I'll take a middling amount there, 5, and I'm going to go buy shares. There we are. At the moment it's telling me I've made a minus 3,890,000 profit. What I'll then do is I'm going to start the game up now and follow this graph. What I can do now is, and this is what I suggest anybody does when they want to make money, if making money is your sole purpose and you're not actually messing with the game itself and laying lines and playing tracks, is to move this up to 70. Now there are ways, and there you'll see the sine wave begin. There we are. You'll see now how much the share price has gone up. It's actually, when we bought, it was somewhere between this first and second gradient. Now it's above the fourth gradient slightly. Now if I went to sell all of these at once, I click on sell shares, the price I would get would probably plummet back down between me placing the sales order and the sale actually being made. So I'm just going to click it once, and it says it's announcing the sale. Right, and then we'll watch what happens. Right, back to it. Right, well, it's not affecting the market much at all. There we are. Right, oh it did. Once the sale went, it affected the market a little bit. But you'll see now, I've got almost as much money as I started with. I had 223, I think, and I'm back up to 205. But I've now got 40,000 shares. The share price has dropped down a little bit. I can wait for the next time it rises to sell more. Now the real way to do this would be to, once you've got, say, if you had 4 or 5 billion here, what am I thinking about here? Yeah, it'd be 500 million. I'll get it right in a minute. I would buy a portfolio with perhaps 5 blocks of shares in lots of different markets. You see, some of the markets really do fluctuate. I mean, it would have been great to have bought these at that point there a few days ago. And then here we are, here's some here. I can buy some of these. So I'm going to go back to buy. I'm going to pick a moderate amount again. I'm going to buy into those. Let's have a look. What else have we got? Oh my goodness, there's another one below. I'm going to buy into those. I'm going to buy across different sectors. The other thing to point out is that the price is reflective across the sector. There's three levels of impact you have. For the actual industry itself, if you bought shares in Takai Construction, then movements of shares in Takai Construction would be, if you've bought and sold shares, you would have like 100% impact on the company that you're dealing with, which makes sense. However, if you buy shares in anything else under constructions and real estate, there would be sort of a 50% knock-on to Takai Construction, because all of these industries are sort of linked. They probably all know each other. The shares are linked in certain ways. There's an interconnection between them all, as there is in real life. And then the third level of abstraction here is, if you buy and sell shares in any company in enough bulk, you will affect the whole of the stock market, but that's a much lower, a more subtle effect. So you've got the three levels of possible effect you can have. The main one, which is the company you're buying and selling shares in, obviously. A sector side one, the industry sector you're talking about, buying and selling within one industry will affect other within one sector. An industry within one sector will affect other industries within that sector. And then finally, just buying and selling shares in general will affect the whole of the stock market. You see here that these are hugely expensive shares, so I won't be buying any of those. Now, early on in the game, if you've got an area like I have here, here's another, hang on, which is the better of those, that one. If you have an area like I have here, I don't like to go below 100,000 just in case. There is really, you're going to need billions. You've seen how quickly I've used up how quickly I use up half of my available my available capital, just building this small little outpost here. And you can see, I mean, this is a fraction of a percent of what I've got to do. It's maybe, I've got a hell of a lot more work to do than I've done here, and I'm going to need 100 times more money than I start with to really make an impact. And doing that, relying just on the game to do that early doors is really tricky. What it's nice to have is some money so you can properly invest in an area, seed it with buildings and the rest of it. So this is something that I would actually take a risk now and again and do early game. So although I said I'd leave it till later in the game, when you're starting early in the game, this is something you can do. The other thing you can do, of course, is really take a bit more risk, is borrow money, invest it in the stock market and pay it back. The stock market is far more volatile than the bank, so you can do that. Late on in the game, your real estate, which makes you a huge loss for years and years and years. Your real estate will make you a loss for years in game normally, but late in game it will start making a profit. Your houses will be full, your factories will be busy. The amount of commuters that from your houses and factories will make the associated railroads and roads around them full and busy as well. All these red numbers will turn around back into white, and you'll be making a fortune. So late on in the game, you've got the option to sell some of these. If you bought these cheaply early in the game, you can sell them for a huge profit, but that's a late game idea. So it's really quite a deep economy, and it all sort of interlinked. You want to go to the bank, then sell shares, and when do you want to buy them? Take it away from your capital. But if you just concentrate on the stock market and you spent an afternoon playing the game, just playing the stock market, you could come away with a lot of money to invest elsewhere. I just thought that was worthwhile putting up early. I hope you guys and girls playing A-Train Railway Simulator get some value from that. Paul and Clark at Degica, signing off.